Hello, welcome to Inside the Birds live from Radio Row. This is hour one on day 3, presented by Ocean Casino Resort. I'm Geoff Mosher. Of course, I've got to my left, maybe you're right, Andrew DeCecco from InsideTheBirds.com. And we're going to start off hour one with a guest, a good friend of mine. He's been on the Eagles beat for quite a while. He works for The Athletic, does absolutely one of the best jobs you'll ever see from a beat writer of any sport. That is Zach Berman from The Athletic. Good to have you, Zach.
Great to be on. I appreciate having me. And thanks for the nice words.
Oh, no, definitely, man. You're one of the best. We go back a while.
Absolutely.
So
11 years on the beat. Yeah,
long time. Right.
Ever since Andy was here. Now the Eagles are playing Andy. So.
Isn't it weird for guys like us who look at the Chiefs, right? And there are some guys like Mark Donovan, the president of the Chiefs, who are with the Eagles that people don't even know about. It's almost like
Brett Veach.
They are Eagles West. Yeah, Brett Veach.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so many people in that organization, assistant coaches who came up through the Eagles organization. So there's a lot of familiarity between both sides.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you this, because you've been around the team like Andrew has all week long. Anything stick out to you as far as how the Eagles have presented themselves, and if you've seen the Chiefs as well? I mean, the Chiefs have been here many times, 3 of the last 4 years. The Eagles, not so much. So what are you noticing there?
This is a confident team. It's been that way all year, right? It's a little different than in 2017, 2018 Super Bowl, in that team, it was almost like house money. This team expected to be here.
Right.
And the star power on this team is one thing that jumps out, right? If you look at it, so to put your audience in kind of the set the scene, they have risers, podiums for the top players. And you just look at who's on the podium for the Eagles compared to who's on the podium for the Chiefs, it goes to show the difference in talent of the roster. Now, of course, there's delta at certain positions. The Chiefs have 3 guys who might be the best players in their position in the league, in Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Travis Kelce. But when you look at the overall depth, the Eagles probably have 18, maybe 17 or 18 spots where their starter's better than the Chiefs starter. And I bring that up as a way of saying this is a confident team. This is not a team that is happy to be here. This is a team that expected to be here. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And of course, they're favored to win.
Yes.
We've been talking all week, and Andrew knows this, that if you're staying in Philly, right, and you're listening to everything that's coming out of the 49ers camp, and you're listening to Julian Love, and you're listening to the one guy in the national media who says Jalen Hurts is like the 6th best quarterback. And you know how that goes in Philadelphia. It's like a constant cycle of why are they doubting us? Why are they doubting us? Why are we the most disrespected team? And I keep telling people, you're around here. There's no disrespect to the Eagles. The Eagles are considered the team that should win this game.
Exactly. And within the NFL too, right? You hear people around the league talk about this roster. There's not much disrespect. Now, it's fair to say Patrick Mahomes he's the best quarterback in the league. He's the MVP. That's not a slight on Jalen. The Julian Love comments that was almost like a compliment to the Eagles. Right. It wasn't a compliment to Nick, but I think that the nobody believes in us card, that can't be played here. There's a lot of people who believe in this team, and rightfully so.
Yeah, no dog back.
Yeah, I think that disrespect card is kind of overplayed in sports in general. Zach, did you get a chance to get to the Kansas City pressers at all this week?
A bit. So the media night, had a chance to catch up with some people with the Chiefs then. Other than that, no, I've not.
I'm curious to hear your opinion. Could you gauge how their mentality is and demeanor and anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that like you guys said, they're used to this in the sense that, look, Patrick Mahomes has been a starter for 5 years now. They've been in the conference championship 5 times, Super Bowl 3 times. So I don't want to compare it to the Patriots in 2017 because the Patriots won more, but the Patriots knew the routine, right? It was like, all right, we go here, and here, right? For a lot of guys on the Eagles, they don't know this routine, and like Nick Sirianni has to tell them at the beginning of the week, eliminate distractions, keep it like normal. For the Chiefs, this is normal. They're used. I was talking with someone the other day who I was saying I'll see at the combine, and it's like it's a week and a half, 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, right? The Chiefs are used to having shorter off seasons. So yeah, I think that's something that stood out is just this is there's like a been there, done that for a lot of those guys, and they do have some new faces, but a lot of their core guys have been here before.
Zach, I mean, you've been on this beat for a while. You know, you said we're both over a decade. I'm on record as saying that I think it's the best 53 that I've ever seen the team have since I've started covering the team. Would you agree with that? I know the 2004 and obviously 2017 they won it, but pound for pound, I think this is their best 53.
I agree. And look, it's a credit to Howie in that respect. What he's done these past 2 years in particular are outstanding. The development of that 2018 class is a huge story. You know, that was coming off the Super Bowl. They had 5 picks, 4 of them turned into like long-term core starters. That's huge. So, you know, there was a point a few years ago when you said, all right, who's the under 25 talent on this roster? And the Eagles didn't have a lot of those players. And now they do. And Howie has taken advantage of having a quarterback on a rookie contract, right? And when they traded Carson, you guys have discussed it well on this pod. We don't need to rehash it. But one thing that they wanted to do was kind of reset the books, right? So they took it on the chin last year. They really couldn't make many moves in the 2021 season. But they knew that they had the opportunity to add talent this year. And they spent their money well. Hassan Reddick, AJ Brown, James Bradbury. They trade for CJ. But I bring that up as a way of saying too that there's this perception with some people you talk to in the NFL that free agency is like fool's gold or it's not a good way to build a roster. And I disagree with that. If you can properly evaluate and evaluate players, then free agency can be a really good forum to build a roster. And like, so many key players on this team and last year's and the last Super Bowl team came via free agency.
I mean, I was just going to say, look at last year's Rams team, they built through free agency. It is interesting to see if that's, we had a conversation with Joe Banner last week on our platform about that. He sort of echoed your sentiment saying that free agency isn't as destructive as teams used to be, but it sort of is the chicken egg thing too. It's hard. I mean, when they were missing on free agents and how he was talking about the difficulty of speed dating and you might have a very good player who just comes to your system and doesn't fit because you didn't anticipate it. So it's always weird how, I don't want to say the narratives always change when the results change, but I think ordinarily when you look at this Eagles team with its explosive offense and you see how many of these guys were actually drafted by the Eagles, the only one that was really acquired, I think, was AJ, right? Yeah. So this is actually a really good mix of being able to draft and develop, which is an area they've struggled in the past, and to bring in free agents, which is an area they've struggled in the past. And it sort of makes me, I'm not trying to get too far ahead, but I wonder if they finally found a way to make this a more sustainable model so that they're not a peaks and valleys type team.
Well, that's a great question because, you know, there is a difference between building and maintaining, and Howie's done an outstanding job multiple times here building.
Right.
I don't think he's done as well maintaining.
Of course.
And there are various reasons why. And part of that is when you're trying to keep that window open, you have to make short-term decisions that will end up eating you that bite you in the butt long-term. And you know that's going to happen. And they've done that with a few contracts in the past. But where I think is going to be real interesting is not just the amount of free agents that they have, but the amount of decisions that they have on players who've been really important here for a long time. I mean, ever since I've covered the team, they've had Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson came the next year.
Right.
Lane's going to be here next year. Lane's got 2 years. He's talked about that. Kelsey, that's going to be up to him. Fletcher and Brandon, I mean, they've only played in Eagles uniforms. They're 2 of the best players in recent franchise history. Almost, you can probably say franchise history. And they have decisions to make there. They have such fascinating decisions in free agency with, you know, both their linebackers, Kaiser and TJ, are free agents. Both their safeties are free agents. Javon Hargrave might be one of the highest paid free agents in this cycle.
James Bradbury.
What's that?
James
Bradbury, exactly.
Same old.
Yeah. So
He goes on and on.
yeah. So how you decide, you know, it's really hard. And when you have guys who've succeeded for you, done really well for you, and you have to look at them and say, I can't pay, or I'm not going to pay you. I'm going to pay him, but I'm not going to pay you. Because especially when you win, people think they're the reasons why, right? And rightfully so. And that's the challenge with maintaining a winning team.
So let me ask you this, Zach. Where do you think the Eagles are going to prioritize and allocate their money and the resources? Is CJ Gardner-Johnson, James Bradbury, Miles Sanders, Hargrave, and all the players we've mentioned?
It's a great question. They're always so. I always go back to the organizational philosophies. They're going to prioritize the line, right? I mean, either Hargrave or Cox is going to be back. I assume Hargrave. Hargrave he's so important. Now he's going to be in demand, but I think they prioritize there. I don't think they prioritize linebacker, right? They've two of those guys, and it might be trying to keep one at a low price.
TJ's going to get paid.
Yeah,
I think we've seen that in this market. Even a guy like that will get paid.
I think, Bradbury, it's an interesting thing. They would love to have him back. Bradbury is going to get paid this offseason. And I don't know if the Eagles are going to pay two corners over 30 big numbers. At safety, that's not a position they've traditionally spent a lot of money on, right? And so Marcus Epps is someone that they consider really valuable for the way he plays, but certainly not as, if you're talking about where to spend money, I think CJ has a higher upside, right?
Right.
I think as valuable as Isaac Seumalo is, I can see them letting him walk unless if Kelsey retires and they want to keep some type of continuity there. But I think Isaac gets paid too.
Yeah.
And then the thing that, as we talk about all this, they have a percentage of their cap that they know is going to be allocated to Jalen Hurts. And then I don't think they're going to pay running back, right? So unless Miles is on a depressed contract, but I to answer your question succinctly, I think Javon will be the priority this offseason.
And the interesting thing that goes into that, and this as well as anyone, we've heard Howie talk about how he goes about making certain decisions in the offseason. And there's a lot of detail, there's a lot of forecasts, there's a lot of analytics involved. The one thing he always talks about is, what are you getting for your dollar? So take CJ Gardner-Johnson, who has had an unbelievable year, right? He had 6 interceptions in 8 games. Are you going to expect that he's going to have 12 interceptions in 16 or 17 games? Probably not. He just had his best year, and he's a good player, but he had his best year as a pro at a position that you just mentioned. The Eagles don't historically prioritize. We must pay this amount of money. So, one of the discussions is going to be, how many of these guys just played themselves into a top 5 or 6 market contract, but as much as we love them, are not really top 5 or 6 type players? We'll have to play some of them because that's what you do. They're all that 1 year away, but we can't do that with all of them. So that's part of the process of their decision making. They have to figure out which ones they think, if I sign for 3-4 more years, I'm getting even close to what I just got, which is hard. I mean, this team has been such a cohesive team, and everybody's sort of played above expectations at some point.
And in my time covering the team, they haven't had this much young talent with expiring deals. Typically, they've been in a situation where they're giving extensions out. There are a variety of reasons why they haven't done that, right? But the amount of pending free, like high quality pending free agents, they've never been in this position in my time covering. I mean, they've had good players leave. Jordan Hicks was a player who like we talked about, just outplayed what they were willing to allocate to the position. They've had other players like that, but for the most part, they're good young players, whether it was Lane or Ertz or Kelsey or Fletcher, even Vinny Curry when he was here. They kept him when Brandon Graham came up twice. They kept him. So they've been able to keep guys, but they haven't had this volume of players to keep.
Absolutely. All right. Before we get you out, I'm sorry, Andrew. I was
going to say, Zach, we haven't had a chance to talk. How do you envision this game playing out?
Yeah. So it seems like an obvious statement to say that the Eagles have the advantage, but Patrick Mahomes is that good. But the Eagles have the advantage, but Patrick Mahomes is that good. I tend, so I'll give you a point of reference, because this is the last time I can say the last Super Bowl. Like, I think the statute of limitations for me talking about 2017 season expires on Sunday night. I can no longer keep making references to it. Right. So I'll go to that well one last time. That week in Minnesota, I kept saying leading up to that game, like the first week and a half, man, it's Tom Brady. You're not going to beat Tom Brady. You're not going to beat Tom Brady. And then as the game got closer and I really looked at it, I said, The Eagles have the advantage on both lines of scrimmage.
Yep.
Every year covering the team, every coach I talk to, every executive I talk to, it's like their lines of scrimmage is what wins them the games. The Eagles have the advantage on both lines of scrimmage. More so their offensive line versus Chiefs defensive line. Chiefs have a good offensive line. But I think the edge the Eagles have on the lines of scrimmage is going to be the determining factor. That said, if you're in a situation like what you were in 2017, where Brady got the ball back with a minute 40 to go. If Mahomes gets the ball with a minute 40 to go and he needs 5 points to score, I'd be worried if I was an Eagles fan at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the whole lightning doesn't strike
Exactly.
twice thing.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's so funny because I came down here with the mindset exactly what you said. I felt the Eagles were the best team in the trenches that usually determines games. I felt like they were an 8 to 11 point win. Since I've been down here, and maybe it's paralysis by analysis, and you talk to people who are close to both teams and kind of give you an idea of what they think the Chiefs are going to do, what they think the Eagles are going to do, and how the Chiefs might try to circumvent what the Eagles do well. Now, as the week's gone on, I said, well, maybe Eagles more like by 5 or 6 than 8 to 11, but neither would surprise me. But I do think the Eagles are also going to win too.
I think it's gonna be a real close game. Right?
Yeah,
I think the 1.5 spread is right on. I think the over under is 51.
Yeah.
I think that's right there too.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a close game. And I think it could be. This is not expert analysis here. Who has the ball last, right? You know, if the Chiefs score with a minute and a half to go and the Eagles get on the field, I think the Eagles can go down and score. They're so good situationally. You know, end of half, end of game. They've scored 10 times at the end in the final minute of a half this year. You know, third downs, fourth downs. They lead the league in fourth down touchdowns. So, point being, they're so good situationally that if they get the ball less, I think they can go down and score. But if the Chiefs have the ball less, I'd be worried about Mahomes with the ball in his hands.
Definitely.
I think we all agree on that. And remember, the last 2 Super Bowls here, you're talking about the Malcolm Butler interception against Tom Brady, and before that was the helmet catch Super Bowl where the Giants beat
David Tyree. Yeah,
there's something about this stadium and some Super Bowls that produce some pretty instant classics. So
that's a good point.
You're going to cover a great one, man.
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for stopping by. It's the great Zach Berman from The Athletic. Not just a great reporter, an awesome dude, a good friend, and it was great catching up with you, man.
Thanks,
Take care. All right. Now, this is a live stream, Zach, so we just keep going while people come in and out. We thank you again. Zach Berman from The Athletic. You can check out all of his great work at The Athletic. It is worth the subscription. He is a fantastic reporter and writer, and the whole crew there, him, Bo Wolf, Shield, they all do an unbelievable job. All right. We hope to have Brian Westbrook a little later in the hour. And I've also lined up an interview. I've tried. He said he wants to do it. Everybody here is on a schedule and they don't know when or where they can come on, but you do get some verbal commitments. But he's been next to us pretty much all week doing his own show. It's called Behind the Mask. Takeo Spikes, former Eagles linebacker. I walked up to him and reintroduced myself. And he goes, I remember you. No, he goes, no, I don't remember you, but I only was there for a year. I was like, no, I totally understand that to you. But we had a nice talk. He enjoyed his time in Philly. It was a rough year, 2007. Injury plagued year. I think Donovan was coming back from the ACL, right? Because
he tore it in 06, right?
Right. And they got off to a bad start. But I do remember, I think they rallied at the end of the year. I think that's the year they beat Dallas. They went down to Dallas.
Beat the Patriots?
No, was that the AJ Philly game?
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking about? Yeah. J.R. Reed had a big hit in that game, I think.
Yes. But he said he would come by when he had a chance. So really looking forward. He's a great guy. He's an unbelievable human. And if you look at him right now, and you can actually see him, right?
No, yeah.
He looks like he could still play in the league. I mean, the man is just chiseled as it gets. And he's got a really awesome show called Behind the Mask.
Yeah, it looks like he just stepped off the field.
Yeah, he does. So it looks like, he said he would come on, and I really look forward to having him on. Brian Westbrook, hopefully we'll have a little later this hour. And Jason Avant and Greg Cosell, these guys were like, hey, can we come back on? I'm like, sure.
We had great conversations with them.
Absolutely.
Always.
I want to get to you because you were at the press conference yesterday after you left here. So we're going to get into some things because I noticed something that I might find alarming a little bit that I want to.
Yeah, please.
All right. First, we're going to tell you to go get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games and Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on a parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You ever been to Ocean?
No, I've been to other places. I've been to
Beautiful.
Tropicana.
This place is gorgeous.
I
haven't been anywhere.
I've been trying to get there, but they're always booked up.
We'll get you there. It's like, your eyes kind of fall out of your head.
Yeah.
Just opulent, really nice. Excellent.
I do like Atlantic City. It's a good getaway for a couple days.
It is.
Always.
It is nice. All right. So here's what I wanted to ask you. At the end of practice, I guess. First of all, Devontae Smith, everybody has to be available for the media.
Yes.
Devontae Smith was not there.
Yes.
My friend Scott Curation from 97.3, I had a conversation.
I was with him. Yeah.
We were with him. And then I guess he asked, and they said, migraine. And then it did appear on the pool report later that he had a migraine.
Right.
Does he have a history of migraine? I don't remember.
I don't know that he has a history of migraines.
Okay.
I know that he was very brief in some of his media availability the day before. He doesn't really give you a whole lot. That's not really his nature. I don't know what the case was, Geoff. I don't know if it's something where he was like, I don't want to do it today, or if he really did have one. But come to think of it, and I'm really thinking back, I don't know that I saw Robert Quinn there either.
Oh boy. That's interesting.
But he was listed as, full. I think he was listed as a full participant. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right.
Well, but I don't want to necessarily make it seem like we're singling Devontae out, because I was thinking back on it. I was thinking going table to table. I don't think I saw Robert there.
Okay. Interesting.
But I did think that was interesting, because he did practice, right?
Right. And that's what I was. Well, so for those who don't know, there's one pool reporter assigned for each team, and that pool reporter gets to watch the practice and gets to report on it objectively. So if there's someone that limps off the field, or if there's someone that's not there, like the starting quarterback, they report on that. So that's why I wonder, but there's still 53 guys out there, right? So
sure.
I wonder if the report, at what time did he leave? Was it just at the end of practice? Was he not there for a while and just nobody noticed? You just never know these things.
Yeah, that's. I wish we had more clarity on that. It's just sort of a general, synopsis of reasoning why he's not there. But thought it was a little weird. But knowing Devontae, and he's kind of brief with the media as it is. I don't know. It's not for the media. Media week's not for everybody, and he might just be like, I'm out on that.
But yeah, but he's like,
could be.
First of all, he's usually good with the media, and secondly, I mean, he may not be overflowing with what he's saying and everything and talk your ear off, but he's, the guy's been on
that's why
before he got to the Eagles, he's been on the biggest stages.
That's why I think that he probably did have something going, a migraine. Okay. And I've had him before. I get them, every now and then, and they are debilitating. They can be debilitating. There's different levels of it, obviously, but
sure.
The last thing you want to do is have cameras in your face answering questions.
That's a great point. The lights and everything.
That's about the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I hope so. I mean, right now you have we're almost at 48 hours before kickoff. So I think that has to be the priority.
Right. And now today is Friday. I don't think there's a practice today.
Nothing.
Correct?
There's nothing today for either team.
Right. Okay. So then tomorrow will probably be a little light walkthrough that is not media related, and there's no injury report for that. I don't think, unless they do the final one. I forget. The Super Bowl is different than the regular season.
I know that yesterday was their hardest practice.
Right. Did you talk to anybody about that, or
about
catch them before or after? I forgot.
I caught him. I think it was after.
Okay.
I think it was after. I was talking to Minshew. I was working on the quarterback piece to finish that off. I talked to Jack Stoll because he's going to have an interesting assignment this weekend on Sunday.
Playing Travis Kelce on the scout team?
Well, not just that. I think that he's going to have to do a little bit of chipping and things of that nature. Another guy that does a lot of the dirty work. I got a chance to talk to tight end coach Jason Michael, former offensive coordinator, by the way, of the Tennessee Titans.
Sure.
But also, get some insight into what Dallas Goedert provides in the room and what he's seen from him. Just kind of hearing out different stories from trying to get perspective from players 1 through 53.
Right. All right. Good stuff. So you will have a story.
Yeah.
On InsideTheBirds.com.
I'm working on it after 2:00 today.
Can't wait. All right. So a couple of people asked questions while we were interviewing Zach Berman, so I thought I would get to those right now. The first question is, and I almost think I can predict your answer based on some of our discussions all throughout the week, but the first question is, who's going to have more yards from scrimmage plus touchdowns? What is this? Is this a gambling question? Jerick McKinnon or Kenny Gainwell? Good question.
Oh, well, I honestly think that both players find the end zone, but I think if you're leaning one way, I think Jerick McKinnon is good for a touchdown. 9 receiving touchdowns this season.
Yeah.
The odds are pretty high that he's going to find the end zone, especially given Mahomes' limitations. I think you're going to see the short to intermediary levels of the field be exploited. He's the guy to do it.
Yeah.
So I think
he's going to catch more passes than Gainwell. He's going to have a little bit more prominent role than Gainwell and probably get more touches. So it's safe to assume.
But as far as carries go, I think McKinnon, if I'm correct on this, only had like 72 carries this year.
He's almost like a little like third down receiving back.
Yeah. So I mean, I do think Gainwell will get at least. I think he could get 8 to 10 to 12 touches even this week. He's been an explosive piece throughout the postseason. I think they're gonna continue to ride that wave, and also utilizing Miles Sanders and Boston Scott as well, the three-headed rushing attack.
Sure. All right, the next this is a great question because it's almost impossible to answer. All right, I mean, like we could sit here and break this down for 3 hours, and we may not even be right.
Yeah.
Who's more likely to play better, the Eagles linebackers against the Chiefs passing game, or the Chiefs linebackers against the Eagles running game?
I kind of like, and I have to. It's not an easy question, and I appreciate the question, but I think the Chiefs linebackers stack up a little bit better defending the run than, let's say, the Eagles linebackers would, defending the Chiefs aerial attack. Knowing that TJ Edwards, for all the good that he's done this year, he does come with some limitations in range and sideline to sideline fluidity. They're going to look to try and exploit him. I would think that would be the focal point as somebody that they're looking to circle. Kaiser White's a decent player, pretty rangy, but Nick Bolton and Willie Gay are a really formidable duo, and I kind of like their odds stopping the Eagles' run.
I struggle being able to answer that sort of until I see what Steve Spagnuolo has in mind for the Eagles run game. Does he want to dictate a little bit more defensively by just telling his edge rushers to play the run so that you make the quarterback keep the ball? And then the Bears did that, a couple of teams did that, and then that sort of it's not like that it takes the pressure off the linebackers, but at least the linebackers have a better sense of where the ball is going to be if it doesn't go to the running back, right? I mean, there's still a potential that he just throws a tunnel screen too, but then now you're not talking about the linebackers there. So I have no idea what Steve's going to do. I can't tell if he's going to try to defend the Eagles out of a nickel, which I think would be a dangerous thing for him to do.
Sure.
I can't tell if he's going to put a lot of guys at scrimmage, which could also be a dangerous thing to do because of then you're asking his outside corners to hold up one-on-one on AJ Brown and Devontae.
We won't really have a definitive answer to this question until we see the looks that are presented early in the game. But I can tell you that the best linebacker in this game is Nick Bolton. I can tell you that
you know what? I think I agree with you. TJ Edwards not far behind.
Yes.
Has certainly come from further away. I mean, Nick Bolton was a 3rd-round pick, and honestly, if he was a little bit taller, he probably would have been a 2nd-round pick.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, he's a short guy.
But TJ Edwards, is he short? I think he's
TJ Edwards is like 6.
Yeah, maybe 6'1", maybe
6'1" on a good day.
Right.
Good.
Yeah,
6'1",
If he goes on the inversion table that morning.
Right. They're both really, really smart guys. They're both always in the right spot. They're very fundamental with their tackling. Yeah, Nick Bolton's really, really good.
180 tackles this year.
That's a lot of tackles.
I mean, he's sharp. He's instinctive. He plays his keys.
58.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we're talking two of the elite, two of the top tacklers in the league this year. But Nick Bolton's a sharp, instinctive player, and he reads his key. He does all the things you want.
Right.
And I think Willie Gay complements him pretty well as being that pass coverage linebacker. I think he has a lot of range and good short area quickness.
So let's take it a step further then. For the purpose of the question. Hello, boys. Adam Caplan here. Oh, good. Adam has just whispered in my ear that Tory Smith is going to be joining us momentarily, former Eagles wide receiver. So I'm excited about that. Well, maybe we'll ask this to Torrey. If the Eagles want to match up CJ Gardner-Johnson on Travis Kelce in their nickel and sub packages, which they can do, and they do it out of a 5-1-5 formation, kind of like their modified version of a nickel, right? That leaves TJ Edwards as you take Kaiser White basically off the field. Leaves TJ Edwards with a whole lot of responsibilities for what, and the only linebacker on the field. And we know the Chiefs will totally look like they're in a pass formation and spring an Isaiah Pacheco run, knowing that there's only one linebacker in the middle.
They'd be licking their chops.
And that's almost a strategical thing that you wouldn't even say is TJ Edwards' fault if he doesn't get to the ball or make the play. It's just that the offense is counteracting what the defense is trying to do to Travis Kelce.
Yeah, the numbers favor the offense there.
So it could look like a long day for TJ Edwards if that were the case.
Yes.
And I kind of do think that you're going to see a lot of those formations, a lot of the personnel packages, 5-1-1-5 kind of looks.
That's a great point, Jeff. And I think they're going to. I think you're going to see it's going to be, and I hate the term chess match, but that's exactly what it's going to be between the Jonathan Gannon and Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, it should be a really interesting one. All right. Would you be more worried with the Eagles down 4, having the ball, needing to score a touchdown with 2 minutes left, or up 4 with Patrick Mahomes? Whoever asks these questions is a damn genius. I love it. Or up 4 with Patrick Mahomes needing a touchdown to score with 2 minutes left. I clearly know where I stand on this issue.
Yeah, and you and me have actually touched on this yesterday. I think I would be more nervous if the Eagles are up 4 and Patrick Mahomes has the ball with a chance to win the game. Knowing his clutch gene. I mean, look no further than last season, the Bills Chiefs game. I mean, he doesn't need much time to shred you down the field, and that would be the perfect opportunity for them to kind of whether take advantage of the Eagles who have had lapses in open field tackling, or it's trying to take a deep strike down the field. I think that would be my choice.
It's just got to be a circus in here.
I know.
I thought I was just pointing hello at Andy Reid, but now I'm not sure if that's the Andy Reid impersonator or if that's really Andy Reid.
That's not Andy. Andy's not going to be on Radio Row.
That's really Andy Reid, but I pointed out because we're in the middle of a conversation. I do see a guy who looks exactly.
Well, then out of the corner of my eye, I see you point, and I look over. I'm like, that's not Andy Reid.
And the way he did what Andy Reid would do. He didn't wait. He went like this. Like that. And somehow I knew that at that moment, I don't think that was him.
I stopped midstream and I looked out. Oh,
Radio Row is great. Wow. Now you've just got people running around in and out of our set.
I don't even know what's going on here, but
no idea what's going on.
That's Radio Row for you, I guess.
So let me get back to the subject. I agree. Even though there's not a whole library of games in Jalen Hurts' career as an Eagle that he led the team to a touchdown in the final minutes of a game. I guess Indianapolis is an example in that game, right? I forgot how many minutes were left. I think it was not as ball as 4, but I have, especially if this is a high scoring game, I will not have any doubts that he can go down the field and put the ball in the end zone and give the Eagles a go ahead touchdown. But I would have a lot of doubts if they could hold the Chiefs offense without a touchdown in that situation. And please, the one thing we all like to do, but the one thing as reporters we always urge people not to do is not grab the anomaly and make it the rule. Like we know what happened. You heard Zach saying it. We got to stop reliving 2017 and say, well, they did it in Brandon Graham. Well, it doesn't mean it's going to happen every single year.
Exactly. So let me kind of hit this back to you. Where would the deficiency in the defense lie? Where would you be most concerned that they would exploit on that drive?
I think for the whole game, I don't think that drive would be any. I think the unscripted plays, the movement plays, Patrick Mahomes' ability to make second reaction plays, which gives his receivers, specifically a guy like MVS, right, a big play guy, a little extra time to get behind the coverage, because we have seen a couple of times this year a well-protected quarterback, which has not been the case a lot against the Eagles, but a well-protected quarterback or someone who has a 3-step drop and just fires like Shaheed from Andy Dalton.
Yes.
We have seen some times where that or a second reaction play has got the best of the Eagles, and there's nobody that does it better than
Torrey will have him and Westbrook
than the Eagles do. Than Patrick Mahomes does.
Yeah, and if Marcus Epps or someone is a step late on that, and they get behind Bradbury, I mean that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh, and let me add, I do think that one of the things they've covered up well, but that has resurfaced at times throughout the year is not the greatest tackling in the secondary level.
Exactly.
And if Travis Kelce is the kind of guy, and Kadarius Toney, if he's healthy, if you get them in space or they go and they get shifty and revert, they can take that 5, 10, 15 yard and play and make it a 20, 25, 30 plus yard game. So
look at McCaffrey 2 weeks ago.
Great point. So that would be my concern. It's almost, and it's again, that's actually more Chiefs good than other team bad. I mean, you're on your keys, you're on your assignments, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Quarterback ran around, alluded it to spun out of the sack, and all of a sudden you got to decide between, well, is he coming at me? Is he coming to this? Now is he? You're in plaster coverage, right? But MVS has already gotten two steps by you while you're thinking about whether or not he's scrambling your way or not.
And I really do think MVS is going to catch a deep one.
You do.
I don't know if it's going to be a touchdown, but it's going to be an explosive play. I think it's coming.
All right. Well, I don't think Eagles fans want to hear that, but I mean,
well, I mean, they're going to take their shots, and Mahomes is a magician in the pocket, and he's their deep threat. So I think he's going to get behind probably James Bradbury. If I was to guess, I don't know if they would test Slay.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We will. That's the one thing is I don't think they're afraid to test people. Right. I don't think Mahomes is afraid to throw away from a corner.
Right.
He trusts himself very much, and he trusts his receivers because he knows if he just puts it in the right spot, it's either going to be caught or an incompletion.
Right. And knowing that they have that big play option on the outside, they're going to at least try it.
Sure.
They're going to try.
Just like the Eagles are.
Yeah, they're going to try. Yeah, the Eagles are as well. Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Get in on the action with the Gallery's $10,000 big game sweepstakes at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City on Sunday, February 12th. That's a big day, Sunday, February 12th.
Oh, what's going on there?
I think there might be a big game that day. All you need to do is place a sports bet at the Gallery, and you will receive an entry into your chance to be one of 5 winners. Now, listen to these prizes. This is good stuff right here. Prizes include tickets to Aaron Lewis.
Wow.
An overnight stay, $1,000 free play, tickets to your favorite concert or game, and there's a grand prize. It's a 3-night stay in a luxurious suite and a $1,500 Ocean gift card. The Gallery's $10,000 big game sweepstakes, Sunday, February 12th, only at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. For more details, visit oceanac.com. Must be 21 and older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're really excited now. We're going to welcome in just a second, whenever he's ready, former Eagles wide receiver Tory Smith, making his second appearance on Inside the Birds. What's up, buddy?
So many weeks.
How you doing?
How are you doing? What's going on?
My man. We're about to start calling you a regular.
Hey, I love it. I
we
love
got
it.
Jason Avant. We got Quentin Michael.
B West is coming in. Oh yeah.
There
I
we
mean,
go.
a regular.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
You want to be a regular?
Hey, I'm not mad at it. I'll take it. Come on.
We
Come on.
love it, man. We love it, man.
How's it going?
All is well. All is well. Join the Super Bowl festivities. One of the things that you forget about is that your heroes are here. Your sports heroes are here.
Cool.
So, going
makes
around,
sense.
I was actually working the radio earlier with Sirius, and I'm sitting there interviewing Torrey Hope and Marshall Falk. And I'm like, this is my
Pretty
man.
cool. Yeah.
Greatest show on turf.
Like, these are my guys, greatest show on turf. So
Who's
it's
your favorite
extremely
player growing up?
Mike Vick.
Michael Vick.
Yeah, I'm from Virginia.
Right.
Played quarterback
Sure.
coming up. Mike Vick was by far my favorite player. No one else is even close.
Wait a minute, though. Wait, he's that much older than you.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, y'all, I'm only 34. I'm not that.
No, he's actually
Yeah.
Torrey's pretty. Were you 30? When did you? Were you
I
30?
I was like 30 or so, but then my knee, one fall happened and
I got
it
you.
changed
I got you.
everything.
Right. I
But
get it.
overall, I was pretty young.
Who's your favorite receiver?
Randy Moss.
That's about as good as it
Yeah,
gets.
Randy Moss, but I love everyone else. But
Yeah.
Randy Moss to me was always my favorite.
Who's your favorite nose tackle? No, I'm just
Man, if you get that one, we're done. No,
Hey man, you can be Vince Wilfork who you need. I like it.
Fork. Yeah, yeah.
There you go. That's a great one. Did you grow up rooting for the Washington teams?
You know what's crazy thing is I'm being from Virginia.
Yeah.
You have Washington, and for whatever reason, everyone else likes the Cowboys. So it's like you either Washington or Cowboys. And I was the guy in the house that rooted for the opposite team. So I never really had a favorite team. I always had favorite players.
Wow. Okay.
That's
All
fine.
right. So I feel like that's your way of saying you might have been a Cowboys fan, but you
No,
Oh.
there was no one ever really on the Cowboys that I was like, T.O. was down there. Like I love, I love watching T.O., but overall there was no one ever really there. So my guys were kind of spread around. Vic, when he was there, I remember my rookie year, we played the Eagles, and I'm a rookie in the NFL, and I keep looking across the sideline like, that's Mike Vick. As a fan. So, I was trying to kind of
Well,
right now, then.
by the way, it's like when Randy Moss said, "That's Brett Favre over there. I got to see this."
Right, like every time, like you know it's game time, but
sure.
lining up like
Yeah.
I'm lining up like Champ Bailey over here, you know what I mean? And so I'm kind of at that weird spot now where you see older guys get in in the Hall of Fame. Literally yesterday, guys that I grew up watching, and then guys that I played against now getting in. Like I played against Darrell Reeves, my second game in the league.
Oh my
He's
God.
now
He
in
just
the
got the
Hall
Hall of Fame. Wow.
Right, you know what I mean? So it's really cool to be able to be a part of that.
So leading up to the Super Bowl, okay, it's 5 years now, right?
Yep.
When you were preparing, to play the Patriots, it was because Belichick could send anything at you. You never know what you're going to get. What was that game plan like? What were they thinking they could do against New England? Because who the heck knew? 41 points. You can't
We
pick it up.
expected to score a lot
Why?
because we knew we were better than them. Our offense we knew was better than their defense. But we didn't think they were going to score that many points.
Yeah, 40.
On the flip side, we didn't think they were going to score that many points, but it's definitely one of the more legendary games that have happened. We really just trusted our offense. We were hot. We were practicing very well. And, it was awesome. One thing really cool that I learned the other day, and I can't say who told me,
Okay.
but this is kind of breaking news.
I like it.
Someone told me that the Patriots studied Philly special and knew we were going to run it.
I don't believe that.
How is that possible?
So this is from a player who said
Oh,
they studied, and I'm like,
Well,
how did you know?
all right, we're going to add something to that.
Conspiracy theory.
So we had John T. Flippo on a couple weeks ago. Flip said that during the week, you guys just blew it every single time.
Like butchered it.
And then
Balls
Frank
overhead,
Reich
worm
was so pissed off. He's like, "We're done. That's it. We're going to get it done in the game." How the heck, if John obviously lived it, he's telling the truth. If you guys couldn't get it right during the practices, how do you get it right in the game?
Yeah, I mean, you got it right, but I don't want to say it's 50-50, maybe 60-40 us getting it right.
All right.
But, I mean, you even on the back end, like Trey Bird, like it was kind of like one option into nothing. I was the over route that was supposed to be the second option because Peterson was more so nervous about it. I don't think he ever thought he would call it in that situation. But it was like, hey, take that one and not run. But Trey Burton and I were like, hey, I'm coming on this over route. So if I'm over, if he's not open, throw that ball. But it was really cool to watch it all play out, the situation, the energy. And, I still can't believe the situation in the game in which he called it. One of the boldest calls in NFL history.
Wait, oh, by the way, did you learn about it in the huddle? You heard the call?
Yeah, when I heard it, I was like, oh my
Exactly.
God, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. And then I'm looking, I had the best seat in the house next to the thrower and the catcher. You know what I mean? So I'm coming across. First of all, no one was guarding me. Like, it just popped wide open. Everyone went running to the left. And I'm looking. I'm like, he's open. He's open. I'm throwing my hands up like signaling touchdown once I saw the ball floating because Foles has hands. Quarterbacks are really supposed to have the best hands on the team.
Right.
And they typically do because they catch more passes than anyone else on a consistent basis. Yeah. But I knew as soon as he got it, Foles is an athlete. He was going to catch it and get it done.
You think about it. You have been blessed to play with some quarterbacks who just caught fire. I mean, good quarterbacks already, but then, going back to Joe Flacco when he caught fire, when you guys won the Super Bowl there, he was a good quarterback, but that was an unbelievable run, especially that game against Denver. Then you come and Carson Wentz's second year. I mean, you idolize Mike Vick, and Mike Vick did amazing things. Carson did some amazing things running and throwing that year. And then, of course, what Nick did in the Super Bowl and the championship game.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I wanted to come to Philadelphia. I wanted to be in a position to win. I'd already made a couple dollars, so it wasn't necessarily a financial decision. Like, hey, I think this Eagles team can win. I like the young quarterback. I think the defense is solid. I think it's a great organization. And Joe Douglas is like, hey, man, I'm telling you, you got to trust me, the organization. I'm like, all right, I'll come. And day one, I said, this team has a chance, like just by learning. And going in the locker room, you're seeing a great mixture of veterans and younger guys and the energy, the work ethic, everything was there. And it's the same thing this year, a great mixture of veterans and younger guys that are fitting in. And I think Howie Roseman deserves a lot of credit for how he's been able to piece this roster together and how this coaching staff, really, Nick Sirianni and his staff, done a great job of doing what their players do best.
Did you get to know Howie during your time with the Eagles?
Yeah, I did. I have a lot of respect for Howie, even though he traded me. I love Howie, man. I think he's a great guy. I still talk to him to this day often. I think he's a guy that does his job the right way. I think he's a man that really cares. And to watch him kind of battle through and, help to build this roster, he's one of the best in the league. And to win Executive of the Year, twice in 5 years?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, no one else has to speak for him. His resume speaks for itself.
I tell you what, you sort of got your revenge for being traded by what happened after. I mean, every other year, the Eagles were trying to find a field stretcher, right? I mean, they traded you, and I think they signed the kid who used to be from the Steelers, and then the
Mike
Dolphins.
Wallace.
Mike Wallace
yeah.
didn't work
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Brought Deshaun back, didn't work out. I mean, they were chasing a vertical threat
Yeah.
for quite a while.
Well, I would have never tore my knee if I'd have been in Philadelphia. That's the story, and I stick to it. I actually got hurt playing in Philadelphia when we played I was with the Panthers. We played Philadelphia the following year.
That's right.
Like, and I had that play on like 4th and 10. I caught it, spun out, ran down the sideline. On 4th and 10, the Eagles get that stop. The game's over.
Yeah.
We get it, run out, 2-minute drill. I messed up my knee on the play before
ACL?
that. Before that. Just torn cartilage. And that's why I ended up having to retire the following year. I had 2 rules when it came to football. If it ever put my family in jeopardy by moving around too much, then I would stop. And the other one was if I had to take medicine to play.
Oh, okay.
And I had to take pain medicine to play. And so, like, life is much bigger than football. I'm grateful. I've had the opportunity to have a solid career, and my health and being around my kids and being a healthy husband and being present means a lot more than the game.
2 Super Bowl rings, man.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
By the way, where do you store those rings?
Well, right now they're at the hotel. I forgot them. I would have brought them
Oh,
on
you didn't
over.
wear 'em and
Yeah.
got-
This is the only time it's appropriate to really bring the Super Bowl rings out.
Wasn't that Eagles ring? I've seen it. It's unbelievable.
Oh, it's amazing.
Beauty.
You know, it's beautiful. I think they put a lot of thought into it. Shout out to Mr. Lurie. And
Did you get to know him at all?
Oh, that's Mr. Lurie is awesome. You know, everyone, I know it sounds, cliche, like, oh, it's a great organization, but it really is from top to bottom.
How so?
Just family, right? Like everyone in corporate America, whether it's corporate America, whether it's your youth football team, whether it's your high school team, everyone has a team, right? And I think you can tell genuine leaders versus people who are just doing their job.
Sure.
And I think for Mr. Lurie, he's honest, he's transparent, he's authentic. You can see it, you can feel it, it's real, he cares. And it just trickles right on down. Everyone plays their role. No one's trying to do anyone else's job. And I think that's really kind of what stood out. And for me to go from Baltimore, where it was done the right way, to San Francisco, where there were some challenges for those 2 years, San Francisco, to their credit, has since got it right. They've done an amazing job with their leadership, an amazing job with their leadership. But to go to Philadelphia and to see that right away, I'm comfortable in whatever I do in life saying that leadership starts at the top. If it's not right at the top, it's never going to be right. And I think for the Eagles and the way they run it, it's a perfect example of that.
All right. I know you gave your prediction last time you were on with us. Have it changed?
No, it hasn't.
Still Eagles?
Eagles win.
Okay.
If Jalen Hurts is able to protect the ball, take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. But the biggest matchup is the Eagles defensive line versus the Chiefs. Why? The Eagles play their best when they're able to get with 4 and drop everyone else into coverage. And so the last time we saw this Chiefs team struggle was in the Super Bowl. Well, not the last time, but one of the major times we saw them struggle was in the Super Bowl when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rushed 4 and was able to drop everyone else. Mahomes' magic wasn't the same. And with this defensive line, who is deep
They
and
get
can
after
rotate,
it.
if they're able to get after this team, which I think they can and will, with only 4, that's going to be the difference in this game.
Awesome.
Because Patrick Mahomes is a bad man. It makes up for a lot of things that this Chiefs team lacks.
Torrey, come back on with us, will you?
Always,
Again?
man. Y'all let me know.
Tomorrow?
Hey, let
Sure,
me know. I'm here. Let's do it.
Really appreciate
I
catching up with you.
appreciate you.
Have a great time.
Nice seeing you.
Take
you.
care. All right. That is Tory Smith wrapping up hour 1 of Inside the Birds Live here on Radio Row. We're going to be getting Brian Westbrook soon. We're going to have Greg Cosell. In fact, I think we're just going to go right into hour 2 of Inside the Birds pretty soon. We'll see what goes on here. But Andrew DeCecco will probably come back with us. We're going to welcome in Greg Cosell right now. Greg wanted to sit in and say hello and have a chat with B West with us. How you doing, Greg?
Jeff, what's happening?
I'm good. How are you?
I think I'm all right.
What's changed about this game since we spoke to you yesterday?
Probably not a whole lot.
No, not a whole lot. Now we saw that Devontae Smith was doing the migraine, so hope he's
Okay.
okay there.
Well, there are people walking around. Doctors with a doctor asked me. I know a doctor asked me if I had migraines, and thankfully I don't. So
They
you
just
know.
randomly asked.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. By the end of this, I might have. There's a lot of lights. There's a lot of people, and hey, look who we've got here: the man, the myth, Brian Westbrook, 36 West. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, brother. How are you, man?
Good, man. Welcome.
Like if I had your hand, man, I would cut mine off.
If you have my what?
Your hand.
What's wrong with my hand?
No, they're perfect.
Cut it off.
Yeah, but I would cut mine off.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about a transplant. Welcome back to Inside the Birds. It's been a while.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you.
Of course.
Let me just tell everybody who's watching. We're going to start hour 2 of Inside the Birds live here on Radio Row. It's brought to you by Sin City in Philadelphia. We'll tell you more about them in a minute. So, B West, Eagles back in the Super Bowl. What do you think? I mean, when you look at this team, new coach, new quarterback, kind of not been really done before like that. Two times in 5 years. Do you like this team as much as you like the 2017 team?
I like to see more. This is a much more well-rounded football team. They have many avenues of success offensively. They have many ways to win on the defensive side too. And so when you look at that, you're saying, okay, where's the weakness? Where's that spot that we can attack them and they'll falter? We can win a football game. If you watch the game, watch this team enough, there's just not many positions where they've fallen short at.
Sure. Now, offensive line has to be the best offensive line they've had and that I can remember. You play behind a really good one.
Yes.
I'm not trying to disrespect any version of any Eagles offensive line, but as massive and as athletic as this one is, I think it's the best one I've seen them put together.
These guys, they're playing at a different level. And I think the offense helps them out awful lot too. Positioning instead of just down blocking and pushing guys out of the way. Now you're kind of getting your body in the right position and things like that. It's just a different technique. But these guys are great at it. Lane is great, best right tackle in the league. Obviously, Kelsey is doing his thing, best center in the league. Landon Dickerson will be one of the best guards in the league very shortly here. And Jordan continues to do his thing too. And so solid across the board. I think Jeff Stoutland continues to get these guys prepared every single week. And every week they look like they're the best unit on the field. And that's why we continue to win games.
Not about it. What do you want to ask Brian Westbrook, Greg?
What do I want to ask him?
Yeah. You
we just saw Andy Reid impersonator look just like Andy Reid.
When you're doing this live stream and you got a million things going through your head, I'm at the corner of my eye. I'm talking to him. All
right.
I just pointed. I pointed, and he pointed back in the way that
he has it.
Right.
And when he did that, I said, "Oh shoot!" I just got
you know how Andy does his mouth a little bit with his mustache. He just did it. I just watched him. It's crazy. So it's
well, actually, B West said something that I think is a sign of a good team, and not every team is like this. Even teams that sometimes win. But the Eagles, particularly in offense, can beat you in multiple ways. See, it's really hard if you can only win one way.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's certain teams that are like that, and sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. You know, like a team like the Buffalo Bills pops into my head. You know, Josh Allen has to be great every game in order for them to win. You know, we've seen Jalen Hurts have a really fine season, but he doesn't have to go 30 for 40 for 350 yards in order for the Eagles to win. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. In many ways, it's a really good mix of scheme and personnel. Because they are really, we've discussed this, Jeff. They're so tactically difficult to defend. And
so many options.
There's so many things they can do just formationally that the defense they're caught in conflict. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get particularly second level defenders to be caught in conflict. They hesitate. They don't play, with the same movement skill and the same reaction time that they need to play in order to be good.
Thinking. When you play in the RPO game, you're forcing guys to think, what are my responsibilities? What am I seeing? And now how do I react? And because of that, now Jalen Hurts has an advantage. Now Lane Johnson has an advantage. Now the running backs have an advantage. And if I get a guy that's a little lazy with his eyes or watching the mouth, now AJ Brown has an advantage. So it's a different thing. And Greg, you said something that I truly believe. If you can win by methodically running the ball down the field, third and short, second and short, and still score, that's great. If you can go deep, quick strike type of offense, that's great. AJ Brown, 50 yards down the field, Devontae Smith, same type of way. But if you can do both, and now you have a defense off balance, now that's a different type of football team. That's what we've seen offensively for this.
No question, because, teams, when it's normal down and distance situations, teams have to be weary of the run. And it's funny, the Eagles in the first half of games tend to be pass heavy, but you don't know that as a deep. I mean, you can play tendencies all you want, but they can't hand the ball off. But they do throw it more in the first half and then they run in the second half. But you still have to defend. Hurts is in the gun almost every snap. And when there's an offset back, there's so many things that can happen and you got to defend that.
Right.
And it's very hard to play that, with two deep safeties. So somewhere along the line, what most teams will do is they'll bring a safety down to the side of the offset back. And now you're creating one-on-ones on the outside.
Right.
And we've been able to take advantage of
correct
it because of Jalen's accuracy, because of his rhythm, because he's on time with his passes, because he understands what the defense is trying to give him. Those are all things that he's worked on in the offseason, all things that he's gotten mightily. It's not, you can't even compare what you saw last year to what we're seeing from Jalen this year. That makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, no doubt. I wanted to ask you about Miles Sanders, because when we had John last year, before the start of last year, we were talking about what talent that he has, explosion, dynamic runner, but still had to almost learn the finer elements of the game, not just pass protection, blocks following, things that setting up your blocks. The one thing that stands out about him, B-West, this year is he seems to have been okay to trade the home run, which he hasn't had nearly as many of, for the consistent 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 yard game. How tough is that for a guy who has that much explosion?
Well, it takes discipline. It takes discipline, and it's hard because I'll never forget early on in my career, I wasn't playing very much, and so every play I'm like, okay, I got to make 10 people miss and try to score.
Right.
That's not how you are successful in the NFL. How you're successful in the NFL is you take your 2-3 yards, and those turn into 20 and 30 yards. And that's what Miles was doing for a long time. He's trying to figure out a way to get to the outside every single play. That's not how you're going to win consistently in the NFL. What we've seen from Miles this year is that he understands rush lanes a lot better. He understands the blocking technique and schemes a lot better. But more importantly than any of that, he has done a great job of making the first man miss. And in this offense, when you're running against 4.5 guys, because one quarterback's going to take a guy and a half with the linebacker and defensive end, now if you can make that first man miss, now you have 10, 12, 15-yard runs. And Miles has done a great job of converting those types of runs because he's made that first man miss.
Do you talk to him much at all?
I talk to him from time to time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you feel, because he came into this year talking about how driven, how motivated he was, and then
money will do that. Money will do that to you.
Say that, but then necessarily just think that it's just going to happen. I mean, he seemed to really put that kind of work in.
Listen, he has always put the work in.
Yeah. But
sometimes it takes time for it to all come together. At some point, the game slows down for you, and you see things differently. And I think it's slowed down for Miles.
Funny you say that. I had the opportunity to talk to Fred Taylor at the Combine a few years ago, and he was a great back.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you know Fred Taylor. And, I think when a lot of guys get in the league, because everything's faster, so they think they have to be faster.
Yeah.
And as a back, you can't just take the ball and run. There's a fine balance, which B. West can talk about, between patience and decisiveness. You can't just take the ball and go.
Right.
So you have to sort of develop that feel, and that comes from reps and experience.
Yep.
And I remember a run he had this year. I think it was early in the season too. It might have been against Jacksonville. Might have been about a 30-yarder, where he did such a good job of setting up the second level linebacker, Foye Oluokun, with his patience. And he got with his initial path, he got Oluokun. It's funny how I just popped into my head. And you can see Oluokun move to where his initial path took, and that set up Oluokun being blocked.
That's right.
And then he was able to cut right off that and gain 25, 30 yards. My guess is he wouldn't have done that 2 or 3 years ago.
Makes a huge difference. I'll compare it to a basketball. We all see Luka Doncic just score at will.
Looks like he's playing in slow motion.
He's playing in slow motion because he's making people come to him.
Yeah.
But when you look at it even closer, you see explosion in that. He off balance, off slow, and then explosion, and that catches the defense off balance. Miles Sanders has mastered that this season, and he continues to do it at a high level. We need that. We need that Sunday.
So let me ask you: this offense that Andy Reid is running in Kansas City is not the same offense he ran.
It's similar.
Yeah,
it's similar.
I mean, I don't remember him doing as much pistol.
Yeah,
I mean,
not by a lot.
That's the evolution of the game.
Yeah.
But I believe that Andy uses very similar concepts.
Yep.
He gets different people in space. And if you watch the games from the beginning of the game to the end, he'll start with 2 wide receivers doing a play. Then there'll be a wide receiver tight end. Then there'll be a running back tight end. Then there'll be a tight end. It's just he has the ability to put multiple people in the same spots to get different results.
Sure.
And it looks different. It feels different for a defense. And then the other thing, the beauty of his offense is that he makes it, if you're lazy with your eyes, if you're a lazy defender, defensive end, linebacker, secondary player, you're going to get bit up and you're going to bite up on something and get the ball thrown over the top, or you're going to move a little bit out of that lane. And then that 2-yard catch and tackle turns into a 30-yard catch and run.
Right.
That's what happens with Andy Reid's offense because he knows how to create space. That helps the offense an awful lot.
So which one would you rather play in? Andy's offense or what they're doing right now with Nick's offense?
Well, I
As
mean,
a running back, which would you
I
prefer?
want to run the ball. I want to touch the ball 25 times a game. Right? I want to run the ball. Neither one of these coaches are a heavy hand the ball to the running back type of offenses. The way that Andy's running the ball now in Kansas City, I feel like he runs the ball less than he did back in the day. So I'll probably go with Nick at this point. But
think about it. You played with a quarterback who could really run in
Right,
Donovan, but
right.
you guys did not necessarily use the running quarterback element
that wasn't our thing.
as a foundation of your
No.
offense. Do you see some of the holes that were created, especially just on a routine inside zone that Miles and Kenny were running? I mean, if that was
well,
you, B.
again, that's the 4.5 people that you're playing against.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you're running against 7-man boxes.
Right.
Now, and you're lucky you might get 6. Now, even if it's a 6-man box with 5 defenders playing the pass, because you have to play the quarterback and the read option, that's a man and a half out the pitcher. So now my offensive line, which are 5 guys, have to block 4.5 guys. And if I can make one man miss as a running back, I'm off to the races.
Well,
that's why the holes are there.
It's like we talked about those 2 plays in the NFC Championship game. The Gainwell 17-yard run and the Sanders 13-yard touchdown 3 plays later. And the way they set that up formationally and with the 4 strong look is they got 3-on-3 to the weak side, and you'll take that every single time if you're on offense. Anytime.
Just put me in space with one man.
Exactly.
And he has no chance of making me miss.
Right.
I mean, making a tackle. And if he does, then next time I'm going to set him up and I'll make him miss. But it's one of those things.
Right.
Tell us about All Day. What's going on there with that?
Oh yeah. So NFL All Day is the future of collectibles. It's the future of the old school trading cards. It's all about the collectibles. It's all about the information now. And really, it's about the moments, right? I had a moment back in 06, scored a 49-yard touchdown against the Giants in a wild card game. That's one of the moments that our fans have the ability to collect. And now they're able to share those moments. The special thing here is that we're going to, they're able to purchase up to 400 of those moments that they collect them. And now we're saying, listen, you have a great market, you have a great fan base, and they want to see the moments just as much as I want to see the moments, the highlights, the things that we do very well. The other thing about NFL All Day, they've said, listen, once you buy your first pack, now we'll give you a $10 credit. So they're giving back to the people that support them. And now fans have a way to get more of the football that they absolutely love through these collectibles.
That's pretty awesome. Now, where would you get these?
NFLallday.com. That's all you have to do. NFLallday.com. You go to the site. It's a great, awesome site. They'll take care of you right there.
And they got cards of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have that 49-yard run against the Giants in 06 playoffs.
Did they have you kneeling at the goal line?
They don't have that one yet. That may be the next one. That may be the next one.
Brian,
All right.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Good catching up.
Appreciate it.
The
See you,
great
my
man
man.
in Westbrook,
right.
B. West,
Thank you, guys.
legendary Eagles running back, joined us on Inside the Birds, live from Radio Row. Greg, I think you would like this too, because as much as you are a tape breakdown guy, you're a here and now guy. You always talk on the pregame show with us. The conversations you have with guys who played the game.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I enjoy most about radio.
Well,
I do like asking about what's going to happen on Sunday, but I sort of like just going back in time.
Well, it's funny because last night I had the opportunity. A guy I work with who actually produces the matchup show at NFL Films named Todd Schmidt. He's kind of our NFL Legends liaison at NFL Films. So he brought me up to the Legends room at the Sheraton, where here in Phoenix, and got a chance last night to talk with a lot of guys. Had an unbelievable talk with TJ Houshmandzadeh, who's training a lot of wide receivers for the draft and has been doing it for years. And those conversations are priceless because you learn so much. You take a little tidbit of information, they tell you that when they tell you, you go, yeah, I knew that, but you just said it in a way that it just resonates so much more clearly. And now I can take that and use it as I study tape. And, those conversations are great. I saw Doug Williams, who I've known. When I started NFL Films in 1979, Doug Williams was the first interview I ever did in 1980.
Really?
Oh yeah, when he was playing with the Bucks. And I've seen him many times through the years. I've known him, but I mean, he remembered that. I remember, and he wasn't there last night, but the first time I ever went on the road and did a shoot was I went to New Orleans with Archie Manning when he was playing with the Saints, and we did it at a school, and he remembered that when I saw him again, a number of years later.
Right.
So those are the things when you start talking to guys and they just remember all these things, and you just start talking about a whole bunch of things.
Brian Westbrook was one of the great stories too of development. I mean,
Yep.
kid out of Villanova had the knee issue, I think, in high school. So maybe that knocked. I think he had some bigger programs after him until that. Then he wound up going to Villanova, having an excellent career as an all-around kind of player.
Yeah.
Did some magic on punt returns early, and then I would say that if you take his 2005, 6, and 7 years. I think they at the time,
Right.
there was him and LaDainian Tomlinson. I don't know, Curtis Martin was always very good and a Hall of Famer, and you had some guys who were very but those guys I think were the known as the dynamic weapons of the time.
And the receiving element obviously separated Westbrook because while he did have 1 year, I recall, one of those years where he really carried the ball a lot.
Yeah.
There was 1 year. He was like 200, about 80, might have been around 280 carries or so, give or take.
Yeah.
But the other years that were more like 220, I think.
Right.
But it was more the receiving element to it. And the fact that Andy Reid in that offense used the back as a receiver. Not every offense did back then.
Right.
And obviously I'm not saying Andy was unique, but not every, we're going back almost 20 years and which is crazy to think that, but not every team used the back in the way that Andy Reid did back at that time.
Right. I wonder, just looking at Andy, it didn't work out maybe the way he envisioned with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who
because that was wasn't he the last pick in the first round, I believe?
First round. And man, we just had him here. He was compared
to Westbrook.
And this is the problem.
That is correct.
Never do that, but they thought he would be a Brian Westbrook-like player for Andy Reid. Because of what he could do.
Right. It wasn't that people were saying he's Brian Westbrook, but they thought that his skill set, which he did show at LSU, by the way, he was a very good receiver at LSU. They thought that he would fit that mold. And for whatever reason, it didn't work out. And as we discussed the other day, Jerick McKinnon has kind of filled that role now.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But they have to do it differently than he's ever done it, where they have to have this sort of running back and receiving running back.
Right. I think McKinnon's only had 72 carries or something like that, Greg.
Which probably makes sense. Yeah.
You know who I thought was great? I mean, I'm not breaking news here, but he's sort of out of sight, out of mind now. He hasn't been in the league in a while. But Andy's first running back when he got to Kansas City was Jamal Charles.
That was one of my favorite running backs.
Westbrook, a 2 to 3 year span where there was nobody better. I mean,
but Westbrook, Charles was also there before Andy.
Right.
He was there when Vermeil was the coach, and and with Trent Green. I mean, Charles put up some big time. He was
electric.
He was truly electric.
I mean, that offense wound up being.
And then Priest Holmes was there, and he was
sure
another guy, not with Andy, but he was another guy. Yeah.
But when Andy came in,
yeah,
he stayed healthy for just a couple of years enough to really become a dangerous weapon.
Oh, without question. Yep.
Yeah, he was a great player. All right, everyone, make it an Eagles win. Either way, this Super Bowl Sunday at Sin City Cabaret on Passyunk Ave, Philly's premier hotspot will be giving away an incredible 65-inch LED 4K TV. Anyone and everyone who comes out for their $5 beers and two-for-one bottles is eligible to snatch it up. Claim the best seat in the house with the prettiest girls in town. It's a Super Bowl party like no other. And if you head over for halftime, admission is free. That's Sin City Cabaret, 6130 Passyunk Ave. It's a Philly thing. All right. So we've been talking sort of, I joked with Greg about, what's changed since we spoke to you? Devontae Smith having a migraine. You've done a lot of discussions. I know you've been around Radio Row. As we get closer to the game, is there something that you could, like, something that's making the puzzle, like the game within the game that you're really kind of keep thinking about?
Well, it's funny. The thing that I keep getting asked, and which is on a lot of people's minds, is how's Jalen Hurts? Is he still hurt? Because it's clear that, and obviously they didn't need him to be special in the 2 playoff wins, but people are aware that since he's come back from the injury, he hasn't quite looked the same Jalen Hurts. And, a lot of people are wondering, because obviously before the injury, this offense was really, with very few exceptions, this offense was really, really dynamic, and particularly early. I can't remember if we discussed this, if I discussed it with you. I know I've talked about it with others. With the stat about how many times Jalen Hurts has thrown the ball in the second half.
22 times.
Within the Eagles. Yeah. I mean, that to me, and I'm not a huge stat guy. Obviously everybody looks at stats, and that's just the nature of what we do. But that's a mind-boggling stat. That he's only threw 22 passes this entire season in the second half when they've been behind.
Yeah. Wow.
And, and again, I think, a lot of people, I think the sense is And no one's saying that Jalen Hurts couldn't do it. That's not the point. But he hasn't had to do it. He hasn't had to come from behind throwing the ball.
Right.
And I think people are saying, hey, if the Chiefs can get ahead, let's say it's 24-14, just throwing out a score, late in the third quarter and the Eagles are losing, at that point, does Nick Sirianni and the staff, do they think, hey, we need a drop back passing game? Or are we still going to just play the same way and let the game play out?
Sure.
As someone who watches the tape, Greg.
Hold on. Hold that question.
All right.
Hold that question. We're going to be here for a while.
I love talking football with
know,
Greg.
because once we get started, it's like, we have some bills to pay and sponsors. We have a break to take. So what we're going to do is end hour 1 of Inside the Birds live from Radio Row here, and then we'll come back for hour 2 in a few minutes. So for Brian Westbrook, Tory Smith, Zach Berman, we thank them all for appearing with us. Craig Cosell, Andrew DeCecco, Adam Caplan. I'm Geoff Mosher. You've been watching Inside the Birds live from Radio Row. We'll be back.